This is how I installed a water-powered backup sump pump Liberty model SJ10. It is a backup sump pump that runs only if your main sump pump doesn't run, like from a power outage. When it's triggered, the water from your 3/4-inch household plumbing with city water goes in here. The internal Venturi pump sucks the water up this tube and discharges it here. This is my existing sump pump, which goes up here to discharge outside. I soldered together a T-fitting and a valve to attach to the plumbing. I'll add a shark bite fitting and PEX later. Make sure you put a bucket under here while you're going to cut the pipe because water will gush out. Turn off the main valve. Upstairs, open a faucet to help the water drain. I'm steel wooling the part that I'm going to solder. I have to cut the pipe to fit the T-fitting in here. That's the rest of the water draining out of the pipe into the bucket. The pipes need to be deburred because you can't let debris into the new pump. Water is still in this lower pipe, so I use a paper towel to sop it up. Putting on the flux, line it up in the right spot, then solder the thing together. Turn on the main water to see if it leaks. Yay, no leaks. Unless I open the new valve. To install the pump, I have to know the height and depth of it. The instructions say 12 to 16 inches from the high water line to the bottom of the gray housing. To check where it actually triggers, I put it in a bucket of water like this. At this depth, the float goes up and triggers the pump. House water goes in, sump water gets sucked out here, and it discharges out the top. When the water level goes down, the float goes back down and it stops. So these are my high and low water marks. It can be clamped to your existing sump pump, but mine doesn't fit that way. So an alternative is to mount it to a board using these 4 holes for screws. They include a template. I made it in cardboard to check to see if it fits, but one of the 4 screw holes isn't covered. Well, I want all 4. So I added a little bit of cardboard there to see if it works. Yes, it does. I cut a piece of pressure-treated 1x6 and voila, it fits. Now to fit it in place, then screw it together. And I didn't film it, but I did anchor the board to the cement floor. To connect the discharge PVC pipe, I'll have to put a new pipe into the outside. You're not allowed to connect to the existing pipe. I'm using a hole saw bit. I had to drill from both sides. To go all the way through. I had some leftover PVC pipes that were spray painted black, so I'm using them. I glued the PVC parts together the usual way with primer and PVC glue. As usual, make sure you measure everything right. I'll finish the rest of the outside in the future. I'm using PEX for the supply line, but it's hard to manage when it comes in this coil. Just push it against something to straighten it out. I only need about 40 feet of the 100-foot roll. I ran the end along the wall behind everything, and I connected it to the valve I put in earlier, which I did not film. I'm using a sharp knife to cut the PEX straight and clean. I didn't want to buy a PEX pipe cutter. The leaking water was from a previous test. They recommend putting the valve within 6 feet of the pump, so I'm putting in a second one. You just push it all the way in and it connects. You must install a check valve. You don't want the chance of sump pump water going into the supply line. Make sure the arrow is in the right direction of water flow. This shows my configuration. That's the second shutoff valve, the check valve, and where it connects to the pump. I left plenty of slack. You always want to have slack in case there's any future problems. Just like electricians leave extra wire. Now for the real test. Turn on the first valve. Turn on the second valve. No leaks. Now I'll lift the float to turn it on as it would in the real world. It uses about 1 gallon of water for every 2 gallons it pumps out. It works!